Hi everyone, I'm Dario. Today I am at the SEDS Italian Space Conference with Filippo Oggionni, who is the co-founder and CCO of Revolv Space. Welcome.
Thank you.
To start, I want to introduce a bit the company. The company is quite young, I would say, on the market, and also in terms of people. Can you tell more a bit about your activities and about your mission?
Yes, of course. Thank you for the question. So at Revolv, we make mechanisms. So we are focused on space mechanisms for small satellites. At the moment, small satellites are more and more important for the new space economy. And what we noticed when we created Revolv is that small satellites can be limited in performance, in terms of power, link budget, for instance, and other limitations related to the satellite platform. What we see, on the other hand, is that the payload, which is the part that makes the money for space companies, commercial space companies, has progressed in terms of technology, miniaturization, and so on. So you have this situation where you could do a lot with your payload, but due to several limitations in the small satellite architecture that are due to how small satellites were born in the past, you have very limited capabilities, and especially in terms of duty cycle. So maybe you can have great payloads, super performant, but you can use it for a very tiny fraction of the time that the payload actually spends in orbit. So you have duty cycles that are usually below 20%, but they can get as low as 10 or even 5%. So that means that you use basically 5 minutes over one full orbit to produce data or to provide your service. And this is actually a problem, and not because we want to have payloads operating for the entire time for the sake of it, but actually because space companies must be financially sustainable and viable. And if you have a space asset that costs a lot of money, you also want to maximize the output of your space asset. So by making small satellites more performant, we help companies who have space assets, so satellite integrators, satellite operators, service providers, to be more financially sustainable. And in that sense, this will in turn help the overall growth of the new space economy.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Speaking about products and solutions that you can provide to satellite operators, we have SARA, which is your main activities at the moment. Can you tell more about the architecture and its concept? What are you bringing to the market?
Yes, indeed. And before I dive into that, I started my previous answer with saying that we are a mechanism company. Indeed, the core of the core expertise of the company is in the mechanism, which is something still a bit new for small satellites. SARA is indeed our first product of a series, hopefully, of products where mechanisms are used to solve these limitations in the satellite architecture and performance. SARA is a solar array drive assembly, so it's a device that rotates solar panels to maximize power generation on board small satellites. And we see requirements, solar power requirements going higher and higher for small satellites, and we think that unlocking this new capability of orienting and pointing the panels to the right direction will unlock new missions and new possibilities for small satellites. Being a bit more specific, this system is composed of three main parts: the mechanism itself, the sun sensors, core sun sensors to sense the position of the sun, and embedded electronics. So in that sense, thanks also to the presence of sensors, SARA is a fully autonomous product. So SARA has fully autonomous sun tracking capabilities because we can see where the sun is, process the signal, understand where the sun is, and command the motor to rotate the panels in the right direction. So the bus does not have to necessarily communicate something to the to SARA, which we think, and this was validated with users and potential users, that this will lower the barriers of access, of adoption for this product.
What we see in the past, but also in the near future, I would say, is that power generation is one of the criticalities for space assets operating in space. You are introducing a new mechanism, and you are also thinking about reducing the single point failure in the systems, because for small satellites it's a common thing to allow for a single point of failure systems. What are your solutions for the problem?
Yes, great question. Indeed, it's true. Mechanisms are usually hated because they are single point of failures for missions, even large missions. You can think, for example, of recent famous failures, for example, Viasat-3 not fully deploying a large reflector array. This is also true for small satellites, but in a sense it's not fully true for SARA, because we identified this problem and we tackled it in a way that is a bit unorthodox, but we think it's we think it can really add value. What we did is we engineered snapback. Snapback is our proprietary backup mechanism. What snapback does is, in a fully passive, fully mechanical way, it returns the solar panels, the solar arrays, to a default configuration in case there is a failure on SARA, a safe mode on the satellite bus, or in any case there is a malfunction or the motor is not powered. So in that sense, SARA is the only solar array drive assembly on the market that can also function always without questions as a static solar array. And this is one of our competitive advantages of SARA, because thanks to this, in any situation, you can still point the rest of your satellite to the sun and go into a mode where you always are power positive.
So in the worst case scenario, the solar panels are fixed and we go back to a classical configuration, let's say.
Exactly, and of course you still, you're missing the extra power that SARA would give you, that any SARA would give you, but on the other hand, you're not fully losing your mission, because what's happening is that if your panels get stuck into a suboptimal configuration, that your power generation is cut down a lot, and then it's like losing your satellite. You cannot perform your missions at the levels that you want to.
Speaking in general about the current status of development, what is your point at this moment, and what do you foresee for the future, speaking about SARA?
Yeah, sure. So SARA, besides what I just said, is a product tailored for small satellites, in particular microsats and CubeSats. We're also starting to work on a new, larger version of SARA that we can target, so that we can target a larger satellites, for example, up to 500 kilogram satellite buses. And in terms of development, we currently are at TRL 6, going fast towards TRL 7, because we are already performing environmental tests. SARA is now at the third iteration of design. We are now testing the qualification model with different tests. We already performed structural tests last August, and we also ran some preliminary tests in thermal vacuum.
Okay.
We'll do more tests, for instance, lifetime tests, which for a mechanism is really important. And to do this, we actually developed, not really me, but my great colleagues have developed a thermal vacuum chamber where we can test SARA for a large number of cycles, so for its entire lifetime.
Okay. And when do you foresee the first operational mission? in a space environment?
We are working on a first mission for October 2024. Okay. It's quite soon, so the schedule is a challenge, but we really want to be in space as fast as possible with this first product. Also because, as you said, Dario, we are a new company, we are young people, we have experience, but you also have to prove that you can make things and that they can work in space. So one thing is having a SEDA in a lab, another one is have it in space. We're working at the moment to have our own demonstration mission, and we also are working with our clients to have SARA on one of their satellites. So we are trying to get to space as fast as possible and lower the risks to do that.
Thank you. Now I want to switch to another aspect of the business, which is of course important. In the recent years, we have seen the growth of space incubators, companies that finance and help new companies to grow. I know you were part of one throughout your career as a company. Can you tell us a bit more about your experience as being part of an incubator?
Yeah, sure. Let me start with saying that indeed, as I said, we are a young company, we are young guys, and also we are mostly engineers in the company. So we're missing that commercial business, financial experience that other companies may have. So in the last couple of years before going full-time for Revolv, we spent a lot of time surrounding ourselves with mentors and also attending programs that could bridge this gap. And I think I'm very happy that we went through this process because it was really important. And for the company, I'm the business developer or the CCO. So for me personally, it was very important to have this, to go through this learning process. And indeed, the incubators and programs that we attended were very useful in that sense. So I want to mention two in particular. One is the ESA Business Incubation program. We are incubated in the ESA BIC in Noordwijk, next to the ESA Technology Center, ESTEC. And this is a long-term program in the sense that you're incubated for a couple of years, depending on your plan. And here you are matched with mentors from different sectors, fields, and expertise. And the great thing about the incubation program from ESA, besides of course having ESA support and having some office plus lab space, is that these mentors are really dedicated to have sessions, one-on-one sessions with you. And for instance, one of our mentors he works at KPN, a telecommunication company. So absolutely no space. But this is actually super important because I think there is some kind of space bubble. We think that space companies are different, but they really are not. So surrounding ourselves with mentors from other industries with a lot of experience, I think it's fundamental, especially for our young age. But I also think that anybody with a space background should get more from other industries. And the second one, and then I'll close my answer, is the takeoff accelerator. The accelerator was a bit complementary to the ESA BIC because it's a high-paced, shorter program with respect to the ESA BIC. We were in the first batch of takeoff between July and December 2022, so last year. And this program was held in Torino. That was also very useful to get for us. Because our company is based in the Netherlands, that's where we started. It was important since we have two Italian founders, including myself, to get a step into the Italian ecosystem as well.
Okay, thank you. So as you were mentioning, I guess basically almost the entire part of the team is made by engineers. Do you think this is an asset in founding a company in this field, or would it be preferred like having other figures inside the team with more backgrounds on, like you were mentioning, economics?
Sure. Yeah, I first have to make a premise out of this. We started full time around 1 year ago, so pretty recently.
Yes.
But the thing probably I'm the most proud of is our team, because we found really great, amazing people and super committed. So that's really great to see, and all of them are critical to our path to orbit.
Of course.
Said so, indeed, we had the luxury, let's say, of having 4 people in the founding team, all of them with an engineering background. But what we did in this sense is to have 2 people fully dedicated to non-technical aspects. So 50% of the founding team works on non-technical things. I work on the commercial side. My colleague Marco works on the fundraising and strategy side. Said so, indeed, I do think that we will have people from with other profiles,
Backgrounds.
because it's definitely super important. So we need people with a business development background. We need people who can sell products better than I do, for instance, because I'm not the expert here.
Yeah, no,
I'm gaining a lot of experience, and but it's different when you have someone who worked in 20 years selling high-tech products, but also financial, especially for space hardware companies. Managing cash flow is really critical, because you have to procure components in advance. Payments from customer are always, they have a payment schedule. You don't get paid at the beginning entirely in a chunk. So financial expertise is also needed, and many more professions and backgrounds. I do think that the space industry has a diversity problem, not only in terms of gender, which is what we first think of, but also in terms of really expertise, because most space companies are founded and run and populated also by engineers.
Of course.
But it can work in the first phases, I think. But as you grow, you really have to try to strike a balance.
It's specific expertise coming from specific... I have just one last question for you. So speaking about next steps, okay, you are working on SARA, but after that, what comes in terms of products or activities that you plan to provide to the market?
Yeah, so SARA indeed is the first product. I shortly mentioned that we are working on a larger version of the SARA. We have also identified several limitations that need to be addressed, not really on the power system, but also, for example, on the communication system, and through mechanism, through pointing systems, like for example an antenna pointing system, you can also solve these pointing conflicting requirements. So this is one thing. And also when you get more power, you also have more heat to dissipate. But most small satellites have a passive thermal management system, right? So I think there we can also add value through some subsystem that entails the use of mechanism. So all these things, they are complementary to what they are doing. They are based on the same core expertise. But this is part of the roadmap of Revolv Space in the medium term, at least.
Okay. Well, with that, I think we can conclude the interview. Thank you very much for your availability and for answering our questions. We will provide links to, of course, Revolv's page and website in the description, and also throughout our channels. So thank you for staying with us, and see you at the next video.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.